Oh, episode 2. Hi, Bales.
Episode 2. Hey, Tyler, how's it going?
It's going really well. A lot of great things happening. I'm coming up on my last 2 weeks of Toronto Film School.
Nice.
So that is exciting.
That is exciting.
Or not my last 2 weeks of Toronto Film School, of term 1, and then
Of this semester. Yeah. I get you.
Just for all the listeners out there. But by the way, to the listeners, my gosh, to everyone who's listening to this podcast, thank you so much.
You're awesome. Hey, Tyler, it was more than 6 people.
It was more than 6 people. So Bales and I were talking, and apparently there's like 30 views on the YouTube video. And then I haven't checked the stats for the podcast, but I'm assuming on my side anyway, at least 7 people reached out. So
I think at least 5 people on my end reached out, so it's pretty awesome.
I am so absolutely grateful for like just all that positive feedback, even like, you know, criticism as well, where it's like, hey, I want to hear like this episode, I want to hear about this episode. Don't worry guys, like that was just an about us episode, nothing big. It was a big episode for us anyway. It was our first episode, but my gosh, just the love and the support. And I mean, Bailey, you even heard from a friend that we haven't heard from in a while.
Yeah. Shout out. Oh, she actually wanted me to shout her out, so I'm gonna do it right now. Shout out to Amberly Weeb. What? She texted me afterwards. She's like, I love this. This is awesome. And then we talked for a little bit afterwards, and it was really cool. So thank you, Amberly, for listening. If you want to be shout out, leave your name in the comments down below.
No, just on my side, like Tori, Alice, Tamaz, my brothers who were listening in my room to the episode for a little bit when it was released. My God, Emily, Shacey, there's just so many people I gotta shout out, but like just not enough time. But just know from the bottom of my heart, like to everyone who's listening and to everyone who reaches out to me, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And
awesome.
It really means the world to us because we were only expecting 6 people.
Yeah, we more than tripled our expectations.
Tripled, and I mean, it was so great. But Bales, when you told me that Amberly reached out, I was like, Amberly Weep, like from, like, oh my gosh, like
from GBS, like yeah.
It wasn't a long pause, like, but it was a second of like, my gosh, and I can say this now because I'm old. It's been years.
Yeah. It's been years for me too
since I've talked to her. But man, Amberly, if you're listening, I hope you're doing well, and I hope that you're happy. The last time I saw you was a few years ago or something, and you were at the University of Manitoba, and you were studying there, and I meant to keep in touch, but yeah, just life happened, and Amberly, I hope you're doing well. That's it. So today's episode, Bales, what's it about?
We're gonna be talking about college life. We have some experience in college, and a little bit more specifically, what it's like to be an arts student, which I think it's a little bit different than being a regular college student, but you know, that's just me. I think Tyler should go first because Tyler has a very interesting story. Tyler, what did you initially go to college for?
So after I graduated high school, I had aspirations to become a cardiologist. I was in my second year of university, starting to prepare for the practice MCAT and getting ready for all that. What had happened instead was my body took on an extreme amount of stress from just all the late nights, all the not even procrastinating, but like kind of just the studying, like of, oh man, I got to ace this test. And the part of it is that because of all that studying, because of all like those late nights, it just took a real toll on my body. And as most, I think we mentioned in the last episode, again, we filmed that weeks ago. That was weeks ago for us. But I think I mentioned that like I did grow up with a heart deficiency. It was an aortic valve stenosis, and we're gonna have an episode later on about our health issues. But just briefly, like, so it was replaced, it was fixed. But like I just like my body can't handle stress or large amounts of it for a long period of time. And that's pretty much what I was putting myself through for the first 2.5 years of post-secondary school, of university. And it was strange. And doctors were pretty much telling me, hey, if you want to keep living, stop what you're doing. Because
living's good. I like living. Living is nice.
Because what's the point? And this resonated with me big time. What's the point of continuing if you can't even practice afterwards? What's the point of doing this if you're not even going to be around? You know?
And plus, it wasn't your passion either. At the same time,
it wasn't. No. Yeah, it was very.
Your intentions were totally good. Like I like that you wanted to help people because people have helped you, but like your heart wasn't in it, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason.
I get it. Your heart wasn't in it physically and emotionally.
Playing the home game. Every time Bailey makes a awkward joke, let's mark that one down.
That was awkward. I thought it was clever. I thought
clever. Well, cringy. Let's call it.
There you go. Okay. Whatever.
But that's exactly it, right? Like my heart wasn't in it. My dad had always wanted me to either be a lawyer, a doctor, or go work in sales or something besides what I was doing in high school. It was always viewed as a hobby towards him. And then so when I found out that news, obviously I was devastated. I had spent 2.5 years doing this, and I didn't know what to do now. It wasn't until a talk with people around me, and it wasn't until I saw a poster for the Rover. For people at the Black Hole Theater who are listening to this, it was a show that was going on. I think it was directed by Margaret Groom, and it was a show, and I was just like, I need to see this. I need to see what this whole theater company is about. So I went to go watch the Rover, and I miss theater. I miss performing. We mostly did improv in high school. I didn't do a whole lot of plays. I remember doing the musical for my last year in grade 12, but like my background and my training is in improv. That's where it is. That's what I got started in. That's where I found my passion for it. And so the following year, I applied for the program to go into intro year, and then after that, you will audition to get into onstage or interview to get into backstage. And the program is pretty much three years with like extra projects that you can do afterwards, right? And I had every intention to just pursue that, just to see the options. Bales, I felt totally in love with it. I was like,
yeah,
is what I want.
You were supposed to be there. That's why.
Brett Schmall, if you are listening to this, you were right. I should have just went straight into the arts after high school. But see, the thing is that I think I was meant to do all that. I believe anyway, especially for me, who's someone that believes in God and the inner workings of the universe. Things happen for a reason. I was set on that path for a reason, so I can learn structure, so I can learn habits, so I can learn what it is to be a good student. Because I think without those first 2 years, if I had just gone straight into university, I would be lacking a lot of motivation. Because what if, like, I finally knew what it was that I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve and what I wanted to, like, set my goals towards. Without that first 2 years, I don't think I would be at TFS right now. I don't think I would go to the Black Hole Theater. Like, it was in the Science Lounge where I saw the poster for the Rover, right? Like, I was sitting there contemplating my life, and I was like, I'm going to go watch a play. I'm going to go see what this is about. Wow. What a magnificent little, just how pieces fall together. And now I am who I am today because of it. And like, there's a lot of troubles that comes with being an art student, but there's just the same amount of stresses, but I think it's more manageable. As an art student, you take on the projects that you want to do. You do the things that you want to accomplish, whether you want to be a director, an actor, a musician. It's like, I'm going to write this song all day today, and then tomorrow I'm going to take a day off. Or I'm going to take half the day off tomorrow, and then I'm going to continue, rehearsing my lines. Or it's very much your own schedule. And even though,
Tyler, I'm going to pause you there.
Hello, this is future editor Bailey speaking. The reason why I interrupt Tyler in this next part to give you some context is because while we were recording this, then his side of the video totally glitched out, and I wasn't sure if the recording caught that. But guess what? What you just heard, I didn't, so it did work. So just humor me for a second with this next part of the conversation.
Because you are cutting in and out a million times over. And I don't know what the recording's doing, but on my end, you don't sound good. I couldn't understand any of that. You just want to kind of start that whole rant all over again, just in case?
This is live. No, yeah, this is live for us. Sorry, guys. This is what happens when we do everything over Zoom. There are going to be technical difficulties.
Yes.
Anyway, back to the conversation at hand. Thanks for hearing us.
But yeah, pretty much where I was going was, I don't know what the last thing that Bales is going to edit here, but the last thing I was kind of saying was I needed those first 2 years at university. Bailey, just give me like a wink if I'm cutting in and out, all right?
Okay.
All right, cool. I needed those first 2 years of university. I needed those first 2 years to be able to set a foundation of what kind of man I wanted to be, what kind of artist I wanted to be, what kind of student I wanted to be, and just really accept the fact of like, here is the school that I need to be at right now and where I need to be. And it was just a coincidence of things that happened. And I'm so glad they did, because that was, again, the path I was supposed to go down. I could have gone to any university, and in the back of my head, I'm like, I want to stay a bit close to home. My family was still living in Grunthal. It's about a 45-minute drive, even less, if I speed. But it was something that I wanted, where it's like, okay, I'm going to stay close to home, the University of Manitoba. I could have gone to like U of T, U of BC, like anywhere I wanted to go. I was like, I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna stay close to home. And because of that, when I went through like the whole stress of the first 2 years, I was close to home. I was close to my family. I was like, they were able to take care of me when I was completely broken. But through that, things started to kind of fall together. And like, this is the person I was always meant to be. Yes, I was supposed to pursue the arts, and all these ideas that I have in my head of where I want to take the arts next for the city of Winnipeg and for this small group of people that I've met in Winnipeg. There's just so much I want to do, and I'm so glad that I have that work ethic, and I was able to see. Because guys, trust me, people in science are boring. Like unless you get them drunk, they are boring to talk to. Like it is so competitive, and yes, the arts can be competitive as well.
Oh,
The
it is
art
competitive. That isn't even a
100%
question.
competitive as well. But it's about the mindset that you go into it, right? Like for me, I'm not going into it with a competitive mindset. I'm going into it with a compassionate heart saying, hey, if you get the role, that's great. But I would love to learn from you then, because like I'm always a student of learning. I'm always a student of like being open-minded and seeing like, okay, how can I, even if this person's just acting for the first time, how can I take that and reinvigorate my own sort of spirit into getting into that, like that kind of energy and that kind of spirit again. Yeah, so that's sort of like a brief overview of my experience from high school to university, and now going into TFS. Obviously I finished the program at the Black Hole, and then when COVID hit, I was like, I need to change. I can't stay here anymore, and so TFS was the next natural step.
Yeah, but my question is like, why specifically Toronto Film School? Like, I guess you could have continued here. I don't know what the options are though. But why go to Toronto?
So the options are very limited in Winnipeg, unfortunately. Just before the first episode of the podcast, Bales, we were talking about sort of how there's not a whole lot of schools for like singing and those opportunities, and how there's not a whole lot of schools or opportunities for kids to pursue theater, because theater isn't a huge part of the like school curriculum anymore. It's like, oh, we like, you can do drama, and it's fun. That's all it's ever been. It's like half an hour of fun.
This is an easy course.
This is the easy course, and I'm so glad we had a teacher like Brett Schmall, because he really showed us that yes, it is fun. 100%, it's fun, guys. For any of those who are aspiring to like go into something creative, it is
so much fun. I love it.
But guess what, guys? Just like anything in life, it's hard work.
What you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it. So if you want more of it, then you put more into it. That's exactly how it goes.
100%. So yeah, why Toronto Film School? I mean, I could have applied for the National Theatre School in Ottawa. I could have gone to BC, British Columbia, here in Canada. Could have gone there for the film school. Could have gone to Studio 56 out there. Or could have applied, not like, oh, I was accepted everywhere. No, that's not what I'm saying. I've applied. I did have a couple offers from theaters here in the city just before COVID shut down, and then even when things started to we're starting to reopen, there were opportunities where I'm just like, oh, I have the skills, I have the skill set to go and apply for this. Why not? But my heart just wasn't in Winnipeg anymore, and especially for me, it's like I feel like I'm being called towards Toronto. Something's calling me in Toronto, and I don't know what it is. And so I applied for TFS. I started doing TFS, started to the whole application process, and I was in. And for me, the next natural step was to hone my skills as an actor and to break into the industry, but not so that I can go to Hollywood or become a famous movie star. It's so that, again, I can build connections, so that when I start doing my own projects, I have this huge network of people that I can just call on. And artists, especially if you make friends with them, they're always going to want to work on projects with you. Like I've been talking with a couple of people here about a production company here in Winnipeg that like we all want to open, that will eventually turn into a theater that we can physically build in the city. And it's so cool how these kind of things happen because my heart's crap, and because it couldn't stand the stresses of med school, that I'm here now and I'm almost finishing my first term, and I've met so many great people. So yeah, why Toronto Film School? Oh, it's so that you can get into no, so that I can meet these amazing people that I have met, so that I can have fun, so that I can laugh with them, so that we can make fun of each other whenever we mess up, but also at the same time support each other and ground each other for these performances. And I kid you not, Bales, like these people in Toronto Film School are the most brilliant, bright-eyed people I've ever met. They're so talented, absolutely talented. And as an artist, like we sometimes never see that, where it's just like, oh, I'm okay. And I'd say that about myself. Sometimes I'll say I'm terrible. I'm a terrible actor.
That's
like
wrong. Don't listen to him, guys. He's a good actor.
all right,
I
for those
can
of you playing the home
confirm that.
for those of you playing the home game, every time I now say I'm a terrible actor, I will donate $5 to a charity of Bailey's choosing.
That sounds fantastic. Can we actually do that? Because you owe me a lot of money.
No, starting now.
Oh, okay. Dang it.
I need to keep the habit in check.
I need to keep a tally of that. Okay, here we go. I got my pen ready.
So just for the heck of it, I'm a terrible actor, so that's $5.
Okay, that's $5. I have tally number 1.
I will legitimately I will donate it at the end of the year towards a charity of Bailey's choosing. I kid you not, guys. Just make sure it goes to a good cause, or even at Bales, if you want to split it up to different charities, let's do it.
Okay. Oh, we're gonna. It depends how much you hate yourself, but we're gonna help a lot of people.
Oh, and by the way, this is not just the podcast. Like every time Bales and I have like phone calls sometimes as well, or I'll send her voice messages. Every time I say that I'm a terrible actor, she has to tell you.
That's 2.
That's 2. It was an example.
Okay, that one doesn't count.
No, count it. It's okay. It's $10.
Okay, $10. Well, eventually it's gonna be more than $10, and you're gonna be like, "Wait, I didn't mean that."
It was an example. No, there's gonna be there has to be a bar where it's like, "Okay, he was only given an example."
I bet your friends like are listening to this and be like,
"Oh
what is he talking about? He's what?"
If you can talk with some of the people at Toronto Film School, how many times I've said that about myself, you'd be like tallying it up.
We're gonna get one of them on the show, and we're gonna tally it up here.
Let's do it. Hey, any Toronto Film School kids or like kids? Any Toronto Film School?
Hey, children.
Any Toronto Film School students that are in my term right now. If you want to be on the podcast, let me know. Just so you can rip on me and roast me.
Oh, I have lots of questions. Don't worry.
This also goes for the Black Hole Theater Company people that I've met. My escape.
Also, yeah, Briarcrest peeps, you want to be on the show? I'm going to be talking about you eventually. Like, hit me up. Like, let's have some fun.
So I've talked for a bit. I am sorry, you guys.
That's how it works. We go back and forth.
Bailey, let's talk about your experience for a second. So also just to put it out there, I don't like there is a difference between university and college and stuff like that. And I get that's a whole debate. But Bales and I use it very interchangeably.
Yes.
College, university. So I do apologize if you're nitpicky about that.
If you get a degree, I think that's good. I went to a college, technically. It's called Briarcrest College, but I got a degree from it, which I think is valid. So I think it's just as good as university. But that's just my opinion. No one come at me in comments here. Let's all calm down, okay?
Relax, calm down, and
yes, just listen, okay? Shut up and listen.
All hate mail directed at me. My email is
oh, it's probably in the comments already, so I kind of screwed myself over. So anyway, I didn't do the whole medicals thing. I actually didn't do science already in grade 10 of high school. I'm done with that noise. That's not happening. I did accounting instead of science starting in grade 10, and I left it behind me, and I don't regret any of it. So maybe my knowledge is less than it should be, but I don't really care. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, so I just went straight into the deep end with music, and I just went for it right away, because that's what I loved, and I didn't think I think it would be a waste of time personally for me. I don't want to say this for everyone, but personally for me, it would have felt like a waste of time if I went to school for something else. So that's what I did. I went to music school right away. I chose Briarcrest in Saskatchewan, Caronport. It's on the number 1 in the middle of nowhere. You blink and you'll miss it. So just be careful if you're driving out there. My parents actually suggested I go there. To me, that's how I found out about them, because back when they were doing ministry more full time, they had gone there for conference for music, particularly in the church. And they're like, "This is a great program. You should go there." I'm like, "Okay, I'm going there." It's decided. I think in grade 11 already, I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to Briarcrest." And I applied, I got in, and it's all it all went downhill from there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So also Bailey will be donating $5.
Well, okay, I will do that. But there is some sad parts of the story, unfortunately. Not unfortunately. Yeah, I did the whole music thing, and here's the thing. I'm sure Tyler can speak to this too. When you decide to be, at least on the music side, that is your whole life in college. It's just what you're practicing. So like my typical day was class or rehearsal or practicing or performance. Like you have no spare time. So if you're doing it, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're listening to this and you haven't gone to college yet, if you want to go in the arts, that is going to be your full-time job. You have to really love it in order to actually do it, because otherwise you're going to be miserable 24/7. And thankfully, me and Tyler are like in heaven in this. If you want to do it, then you got to be 100% committed. But otherwise, like, don't even bother. I don't want to crush your dreams or anything, but that's just the reality of it. So anyway, I was in bliss of doing music 24/7, and I loved it. I got to perform so much. I know not normal programs get to do this, but Briarcrest likes to go above and beyond in the performance category. I remember doing, here, I made a list of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 productions in a span of like 10 months. There's a bunch of smaller ones in between, but like 3 really big ones. And that that was lots of fun, but it also really stretches your patience and your ability to be sane. I think as for me anyway, as college kept going, the pressure kept building up to be, I don't know what the right word is, more than I think was supposed to be expected, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to name names or anything. I just my last couple of years were the best experience ever, because I felt like I was being pressured to do stuff I just wasn't meant to do. Don't go out of your mind and imagination about what happened, because I don't want to mention it too much. But like it did ruin music a little bit for me, which is unfortunate. Once I realized what was happening and I kind of got myself back again, then the love came back again. And I'm sure Tyler can speak to this too, where sometimes you're just like, I can't do this right now. Like I just need a break. And that's what I ended up doing. And it was the best thing for me. And I haven't stopped music. I love music and I'm still doing it. But sometimes you need a break, and that's totally cool. I'm not bashing Briarcrest or any of the professors there. You do need time for yourself also. That's what I took out of my experience there and what happened to me. And you do need to know your own limits as well. Like I said, you really need to love it in order to do that in college. Like Tyler was saying, with his first couple of years, his heart wasn't in the sciences. And I'm assuming that like you kind of really want to, if you really want to do something, you got to put 110% into it. I wanted to be the best, so I put in as much as I could. I'm on the other side of the spectrum where I think I am a good singer, and like I'm confident in that way. And I was humbled a little bit by that when I came to Briarcrest, because it's kind of like when you switch from elementary school to high school. It's like you're on the top of the food chain in grade 4, but then you go to the bottom of the food chain when you switch schools to grade 5. So that was kind of my experience. It's like I'm the best, and I'm the best that Grunthal has or whatever. And then you go to Briarcrest and you're like, oh, I'm not. So I don't know what else to say at the moment. Do you have any questions, Tyler?
I do. So with all this that we've kind of encapsulated, and I just kind of wanted to speak on that a bit more as well, Bales, where from my experience, guys, believe me, like whether you believe me or not, there will come a certain point throughout everybody's career where they will think, is this what I truly want to do? Especially with all the hardships as an artist, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, or if you're a cashier and you're scanning things, there will come a point where you are, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? And for me, that was when I was in my second year, and one of the directors of the show told me that I just wasn't good enough, that I would never be I would never be a dramatic actor. I would never be I would never be a main role in anything. That my attitude wasn't professional, wasn't up to the par of what was expected of the stage. That my nature of improv got in the way a lot, And it's just those kind of comments where it's like, okay, do I really want to sustain this? Do I really want to do this for the rest of my life if this is what it's going to be like? But guess what, guys? There is sort of a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not. That's not what the whole artist world is. It's what you make out of it. And that's what I've really had to learn for myself. It's what you make out of it. Bales was kind of saying, like, sometimes you just need a break. And that's what I was saying at the beginning too, where us as artists, we make our own schedules.
Yeah.
Just remember, if you take months off, that's months that you're not getting paid, right? So you have enough saved up, especially as an artist, or you have a side job, whatever. Those just are months that you're not getting paid. And I think that's the expectation of, like, if you're an artist, you always have to be working.
Yeah.
And it's true, you do have to always be working. Bales was saying you have to put 110% into it. But what does that 110% look like? 110% for everybody looks different, right? Like for me, I am not able-bodied. I'm not. I wish I was.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not either right now. So like, I totally understand that.
110% will be like, a 3-hour rehearsal, and I can do the 3 hours. That's fine. Especially if it's for a play, for a film, I'll do the rehearsal. That's fine. But I'm going to need 15 minutes to recuperate. Some people can go 8 hours and be like, all right, I'm ready for the next rehearsal. And I used to be like that. But the reality is, and what I said at the beginning of the podcast is, if you're not around to do anything afterwards, what's the point? What's the point of pushing your body to the limits if you're not around to enjoy it and to just be fully in it? What's the point? What's the point of breaking your body now and then being like, oh, you can't do anything?
Hashtag worth it.
This was worth it, guys. Don't worry, I'm fine.
You too could look like me in a hospital bed.
And just wait, kids, when you're old enough and you push no, that is not the lessons that I want to pass on to the younger generation, or to even just thinking of my brothers. That's not a lesson I want to teach them. That's not an example I want to set, where it's like, if you work really hard and push your body past its breaking points, you can get there too. No, that's not the thing. And I feel like institutions now, they have that expectation. And I'm so glad I grew up in an environment with, first off, like our first mentor, both for Bales and I, or at least mine anyway, for the artist world, was Shamal for me. Was a huge. But then after that, it was Bob Smith. After that, it was, it's been numerous people. I mean, even Bales at one point was my mentor for how pushing me into going into the arts again. Emily Stark has been a huge sort of mentor and role model for me. And even though she says the same thing about me, where it's like, no, you're the huge role model. Like, no, like you pick role models from different people. And there's even one that I'd like to shout out as well, like Stephen Gatfo. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm so sorry if Stephen's listening. But Stephen, he's been such an amazing person. And throughout my whole time at the Black Hole, there was this sanctity, there was this sort of friendship between us that, to the point while on stage we were just having fun, and we would try to break each other for certain performances of like, I'm going to see if I can make you laugh. I'm going to see if I can make you break. He never did, but I made him break and I made him laugh, and it was a special kind of friendship, and it was what got me through a lot of the program, where I'm like, so yes, there will be terrible things that happen. And you, like, even if you go audition, guess what, guys? You're not going to get the part all the time. You're not going to get the main role, but that doesn't mean you stop trying.
Yeah. And I also have something to say about that. Like, eventually, if you are an artist, someone's going to tell you you're not good enough. I had that too. Unfortunately, that's part of my story in college, is that I was told that I wasn't good enough and I wouldn't make it. I really looked up to this person who said this. So like, I took them seriously for a long time. And eventually I looked at myself and I'm like, no, that's not true. Like, you just have to believe that you're more than what those people say you are. And it was really a weird experience for me personally, because like I said, I am a confident person, but then I totally put my trust in this one person who didn't have the same, I guess, intentions for me. And I listened to them and it destroyed me. And like, eventually I had to pick myself up and be like, no, you are better than this. And like, no, I'm not going to be the best person in the world. I'm not the best person in the world. I'm not the best singer. I'm not the best actor, but I do want to believe that I have something to offer to the world. And you know what? It's pushing past those people who want to bring you down to, I don't want to say prove them wrong, but like, it feels good when you accomplish something and you be like, I did this despite you, you know? I didn't need you to be successful, but you know, also success it's different for every person, but like
100% is subjective.
Yeah. I'm just gonna tell you this right now. Someone's gonna tell you you're not good enough. Maybe lots of people are gonna tell you you're not good enough. If you love it and you believe in yourself, just keep going. Like, you don't need that one person to ruin your life. Like, take it from me. I let them ruin my life for like 3 years, and I should have never let them do that. But now I'm learning that what they said didn't matter, and that I can do more than what they think I can. Just because I'm willing to put in the work. And if you're willing to put in the work, like, you can go places. You will go very far.
Yeah, I think the first instance that where I thought like, the art was more was in high school. Bales, do you remember the jamborees that we used to go to for improv nights and stuff like that?
Jamborees. Like those they were like day like workshops and stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
Day workshops, and then
Yeah. I remember that.
And then we perform in the evening and stuff like that with
Yes.
kind of all the things we learned.
Yeah, I remember that.
So throughout these jamborees, and even throughout like the other performances too, where we go to other schools come to us, the host would always do something at the end of the performances where it like honorable mentions. Like, these are the funniest scenes throughout the whole night. Ales, I don't know if you remember that, but these are the funniest scenes of the whole night.
I think I remember that. I don't remember what they were, but
and I got most of them.
Yes,
yes,
you did.
I got honorable mentions. I was very thankful that my team, like my improv team, was very supportive of me. But other schools weren't. Other schools weren't so supportive of that. And I remember having conversations with them where it's like, hey, man, like, you think you're funny, but you're not. You think you're this, but you're not.
And then that's where I go and smack them across the face. And I'm like, you're not funny. You shut up.
I even had one student when I was auditioning for, like, at the Black Hole. Again, not just saying that it was at the Black Hole, but not going any further than that. I was auditioning for something. And we come out of the, like, because I was paired with them, and we come out of the room, and he tells me, so what? Just because you're bigger and you're louder and you get to the punchlines faster, you think you're good? I've been doing this for 3 years.
That's where I want to punch him in the face.
I was like,
I should have been there. I would have roughed him up. I would have been like, come at me, bro.
I got the part. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, like, you did, because you deserve it.
But for me, it's such a growing moment in those trials. I would say those in those tests of characters. How will you receive that moment? For me, it was like, I never want to be that kind of person. I never want to look at somebody and be like, so what? You think you're good? You're not. I never want to be that person. And I hope that a bunch of and like Bailey, even knowing me before I was baptized, before like, I was never like that. I was never someone who like would drag them down. Even in improv, I'm like, you know what? I don't have to be main attention right now. Bailey's doing something that I need to support. Let's go support her. Let's be that. And I don't know, for me, tooting my own horn here for a bit, I've always been that kind of guy. I've always been that kind of guy. I don't want to tear people down.
No. And let me tell you about those people. Those people are so insecure about themselves that they want to tear people like us down because we might be doing something good, or we might be maybe doing well for ourselves. And they're like, well, I don't want to feel bad about myself, so I'm going to make them feel bad. That's exactly why they're doing that. And it's their own insecurity that's making them do that.
Yeah, again, I can't speak on like what their thinking was, but all I can think about was like how I took it and how I received it. I could have been angry, I could have cried, I could have like quit after that and just been like, no. I could have quit after that director told me that I wasn't good, that I wasn't professional, that I would never be a main character. I could have quit after my first reading in Toronto Film School, where I thought, well, that was a terrible cold read. That's another $5.
There it is, $5 bucks.
$5, people. But it's those kind of thoughts, you guys, and unfortunately, you will have them. And especially what I'm telling my friend at Toronto Film School right now, who's going through it, kind of just preaching to him about feel it. You are allowed to feel these things. You are allowed to feel these things, you guys. You are validated in what you feel, but feel it, let it sit for a bit, and then move on from it. Get on to the next thing, because as an artist, you can't stop. And I promise you, it will be worth it at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Everything that you do as an artist, every mistake, every little thing that you do, whether you trip on a line, whether you forget your blocking, whether you hit the wrong note, whether you play the wrong key, it doesn't make you a terrible actor. It makes you a better one.
And also makes you human. People make mistakes.
Absolutely human. Absolutely human. And the thing is, guys, being human is what makes your performances realistic. Unless you're playing Greek tragedies or melodramatic roles where it's kind of big over the top performances, it's those moments of when you look into somebody's eyes on stage, or you're giving a monologue and you're allowed to feel these things as a human. You know what those things feel like, and you're gonna mess up, you're gonna screw up, but there's so much beauty in those screw ups.
And guess what? Going back to college, like you are just in college. Like you're learning. Like that's the whole point of being there. Is that you're learning how to do this stuff.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly.
If you mess up, don't be so hard on yourself, you know?
But that's even in life too. Like Bales, I've learned, like, auditioning for stuff outside of school, that it's more like, that's even life. Like, you're still learning. Like, even though you left college, and here's what I want to say. Yes, in college you are a student, but guess what? After that, you're a student of life, man. You're a student of life.
You're a student of our life, man.
You are taking in things. You are studying how things, especially if you're an artist, you are taking in things of what, like, how people want. Again, I'm gonna keep bringing up this name, Brett Schmal. I owe my entire career to this man, because he taught me so much about what it is and how it is to be an artist. In class a couple of weeks ago, we went over, Bales, do you remember talking to the text?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I still do it to this day. I still do it to my scripts. I will scribble, I will circle. And two of my professors were saying, like, oh, you should do this because it helps you understand the text. I'm like, I've been doing this even when I was as a science student. It doesn't just apply. Everything we're saying, guys, we're not just like, yes, we're talking from an artist's perspective, but guess what, man? Art is life.
Art is life. There's so many philosophical things that you're saying here. You should write a book or something.
Art, like, this can apply to anything. And what Schmal taught me was, this is going to sound very creepy, so I apologize. For those of you playing the home game, mark that one down. Bingo! People watching. I do it subconsciously. Now. But I remember Schmal, he's like, for your homework, I want you to people watch one person. It can't be anyone in your family. Go to a superstore and go.
Yeah, like, I had to do this in college too, and they, like, my professor asked me to do that too, and I'm like, I feel so weird just sitting in the mall watching people, but like, it's also interesting at the same time.
But I do it subconscious now. Like, even right now, there are certain postures that Bailey's doing, or like facial expressions, or how she sits, and just like all these things I'm taking in of, like, how can I exaggerate these to make it to a character, just so that it's not Bailey, that it's my own character, right? So it's like, here I am sitting in quarantine, and it's been day 45,006, right? Like, what does that look like, right? There's a student at my school. His name is Tomas. One of my, like, an absolutely angel of a man. Like, he's so kind, and he's so genuine, and genuinely funny as well. But every time he talks, he just does this thing, and so I pick it up automatically, and it's speech pattern, or it's how you move. And so he does this thing where he's like, well, I reckon, bloody hell, or he brings up Brando a lot, and how he uses his hands, or how he talks, and sort of the rhythm and pace of his voice, and or even how he laughs and how he talks. It's just like, these are things that like, I'm not even thinking about, but when it's like, oh, I actually do know these things, and when I watch him for a little bit. And so Schmal instilled a lot of these things into me. I kind of beat myself up. He was actually there at one of the improv nights, and that was the last time I saw him. I really wish, Schmal, like, if somehow you see this,
can you please contact us, please? We miss you.
I don't even want, like, maybe contact Bales. She's but, like, Schmal, this is last time I gave a dedication to Bales. I'm going to give a dedication to you, Schmal. I owe everything to you. And Bales, I think you can speak on this too. There's just something about his classes where it was outside of the box thinking, and it made him a better human being because of it.
I'm gonna brag on Schmal a little bit now too. There's one instance that I remember in my grade 11 or 12 year is when my parents were away on vacation. I was taking care of my siblings, and I also had a piano exam at the same time. I just remember breaking down and crying during one of my spares in his room. I just remember him just being there and listening and letting me cry. And, like, that sounds weird, just to, sit with a high school teacher and just be in your feelings. That's what I really needed at that moment. And not only was he a fantastic teacher, he's a fantastic person. And if you are listening to this, hit my DMs. We should talk.
Don't say DMs. Don't say DMs. But yeah, I agree. For those of you watching, you probably just saw me grab something. But I grabbed this play. It's David Auburn's Proof. I got it when I got the theater award at graduation for grade 12. And inside, there's a 2015 Theater Arts Award presented to Tyler Wynn by Mr. Schmall, and he just has some writings. And there's two quotes. I'll share them at the end of the podcast because I think it'll be a nice wrap up. But this man genuinely cared about where the arts sat within the schools, and it taught me a lot of like, where does it sit within myself? How am I a student in the world, and how can I be a teacher of the arts as well? And it's always confounded me. So Schmall, thank you to all my mentors. Thank you to all my professors, my instructors. You are the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today. And without getting too sappy about it, it's because of those role models and because of those people that I can confidently say, and this is going to be big for everyone, I am good enough.
I'm gonna minus $5.
No, don't mind it. Don't mind it. You can't take anything away. You can't take anything away. If anything, just add another $5. But you can't think of yourself, and this is what I'm learning very carefully too, that what I was saying earlier, just because you made a mistake doesn't mean you're a terrible actor, doesn't mean you're a terrible human being. It means you made a mistake. Welcome to the human collective, my friend. It's nice to meet you. Let me show you around a bit. Come on in. It's a
hello. We make mistakes here. Welcome.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful
day in the neighborhood. Will you be mine?
But it's true. Like, where does that sit with you, especially as an artist? How can you use that to accelerate, the next step, to make it to the next step as an artist, as an actor? I want to. So without all that,
Oh, rewind.
Break time. This episode is brought to you by my speech impediment. So we have approached our hour, our time limit.
We have. This wasn't super about college, but it was about our experiences in college, which I think is good to talk
guess
about.
what, guys? We're human. We can't always think. But I love these, and hopefully to those who are listening, it lived up to the same. I'm so nervous about episode 2 because episode 1 was great, but episode 2 is gonna come out and they're gonna be like,
disappointment. Ooh.
Oh no, I think we were both negative on that one. We gotta add $5.
Oh, okay. We're at
35 at least by now.
5 times 5, 25. We're at 25.
Oh my gosh. Dude, by the end of the year, we're gonna be at like $2,625.
Dude, I don't have extra money for this. We gotta be more positive.
That's the point. But so there's two things of how I want to end this. The first one, Bales, is a question.
Okay.
For both of
Go. I'm ready.
What is one encouragement that you would give students who are in college, about to go into college, struggling in college? What is one thing that you would tell them going forward, especially after college too? What is just one
yeah. College is hard. Like, I'm not gonna minimize that. It is hard, and it's different for every person. If you feel like you're falling behind, give yourself a break. Like, if you feel like you're not good enough, you are. You just have to believe that you're here for a reason and that you can make it to the end. If you need to take an extra year to finish, then do that. Like, if you need to take a year off because you're burnt out, then do that. College is going to be there when you are ready. And like, you don't need to be like us little keeners and go right after high school. You can take a year off. You can take 5 years off, but it's going to be there in the end. And if you don't know what to do, like, I don't want to say just do whatever you want in college and then change your mind a million times, especially if your parents are paying for it. Don't waste their money like that. But you're allowed to try different things that you might not have tried before. I'm not saying go do drugs and alcohol and smoke and destroy your body or all that stuff. I'm saying, like, I don't know, go see a play, or like go to a sports game if you don't normally do that, or like try to enjoy the experience of college for what it is. I know for me, I was more, I want to be a good student and I'm not going to have any fun because I want to have good grades. But you're allowed to have fun. That's the whole point of going to college. Well, maybe not the whole point. The whole point is getting a degree and stuff. But like, have fun. Make friends. Like, live your life. But, use the balance of being a good student and being a good person at the same time. That's what I got to say. Tyler, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I do. My sort of piece of advice is very close to Bale's, but on the emphasis of build a community, make friends, even if it's just one. It can make all the difference. I would not be, and I'm going to because especially because it's over Zoom. I'm sorry, TFS squad. I love you all. But I'm talking more about like sort of, I'm going to sound terrible. Guys, I'm so sorry. I love you all in TFS. I really do. Please, I love you all.
It's Corona. It's not you. Like
it's that Rona. It's
that Rona. That darn Rona.
there's a time, and there's you know, when I was completely alone in my first year, and then especially going after my first year, a lot of people from my class didn't make it into onstage, right, into that second year of the program. So I was very alone, but quickly I started to make friends. And so just quick shout out to my escape squad, to my peeps, my original homies.
Yeah.
Put a cringe factor on that one. So
but for seriously though, you're gonna make friends for life in college. If you find the right people, they're gonna be friends for life. Like I miss my friends so much in progress. I wish I could see them more.
I am still friends with all these people. I talk to them on a daily basis. I snap them. I message them. You know, it's a daily thing. So Shacey, Kiana, Robbie, Delton, Bailey, you guys are everything, and you mean so much to me, because that is the community I built, and they were there for me through some of my toughest times in college. I mean, in college, I went through all that stuff with the plays. I went through a breakup, like, and they were there for me. I went through directing a show and just the troubles of that. Oh, and Emily as well. Emily's part of that squad as well, but she's not in Escape Squad. I mentioned Escape, but Emily's part of the. Emily's gonna hate me now. I'm so sorry, Emily. But her and just my entire squad, they have been an absolute pleasure to know, and I miss them so much. And I actually got a chance to see 3 of them. So last week was my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Oh, by the time this episode's released, by the way, you beautiful peeps, a day before, actually, next Friday, is a very special lady's birthday. Just to get it on the podcast, March 19th, Bales. I'm definitely calling you on that day. But happy birthday to you as well. And the podcast.
I totally meant to mention that at the beginning, that you had your birthday, and I didn't, and I feel bad now.
Okay, but my birthday was last week, and it's actually behind me. For those of you watching the video, it's the Dungeons and Dragons blanket right there. That Ken and Robbie, two of my friends, dropped off, and we were 6 feet apart. They dropped off the present. I walked. It was this whole distance thing, and but the only thing in me was like, I wish I could hug them. My friend Shacey knitted me a scarf that I picked up yesterday. Again, the same thing. And I was like, I wish I could hug you, but I can't. So I miss them. So create community, guys, because these are lifelong friendships that you will keep even after. And I'm so thankful that I have these people, that they're in my life. And then even people like Bales. Like, unfortunately, I don't keep in touch with a whole lot of people from high school, but Bales is an exception. Because as I said in the last podcast, she's amazing. I also got so many.
Yeah, I am.
I got so many people texting me about that ending of what I like, how I was just complimenting you and just praising you, and then everyone was like, "You really did her dirty like that, didn't you? Like, you really just surprised her with that." I was like, "Yeah, but she deserves it," and I don't tell her that enough. Make friends, make a community, guys, because that is so important and so integral to your success as a student. Because those are the people that you lean on, and they understand your schedule, they understand your struggle. I mean,
they're going through the same things you are.
Like last night, you know, I host a Friday night where all like a lot of people come on and they kind of just have fun, like relax and de-stress from the week of school, and kind of just talk crap about the week. Like, oh my gosh, this is what I did, right? And that's what creating a community looks like. But we reached our hour like 11 minutes ago. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning into episode 2. Bales, I love you to death. I can't wait for episode 3. She also didn't wink at me, guys, so I didn't lag. Hopefully I didn't lag. Hopefully it's good enough.
No, there was only one lag, and we fixed it, so that's good.
But I'm gonna leave it on this about the whole college experience, because for Bales and I, college was in the theater, on the stage. I will leave it with the beautiful Oscar Wilde. The quote reads, "It was only in the theater that I truly lived. And I felt most alive when I was in the theater, when I was on stage. That was my first interaction with the Rover. I miss this place. I miss doing this." So until next time, guys, have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend if you're listening to this on day of release. And we'll see you for episode 3. Can't wait to hear all the feedback.
Bye-bye.